Ages passed in restless stillness, a silence so vast it devoured meaning itself. The three great powers, mystics, insectors, and cryptids, remained locked in a war without motion, an eternity where even hatred grew tired of itself. And within that stillness, one name, Feldway, waited. Once a seraphim beneath Veldanava, the creator. Now, a fallen angel nursing a wound no time could close. The death of his god. He had tried everything. Conquest, worship, even denial. Yet the gate to the original world remained sealed, guarded by the demons of the underworld gate. And among them stood one who mocked the despair of all who sought divinity's return. Noir, a being of pure darkness, a primal demon whose very presence was contempt for all who still believed. To the mystics, Noir was terror. To Feldway, he was humiliation. For even one such as Feldway, who once rivaled the seraphim, knew this truth. You cannot kill what exists beyond reason. And so time rotted. Eons passed without purpose as the immortal waited for a miracle that would never come, until one day, it did. A voice, faint, ethereal, spoke from the void. "Can you hear me, Feldway?" At first, he thought it was madness, a hallucination born from despair. But then, the voice said something that froze even the void around him. It called itself Ludora, and claimed to be the will that lives within power. That name, Ludora, Feldway knew it. The original hero, once Veldanava's own disciple, a name wrapped in myth. And yet, this voice felt different, colder, too measured to be human. Still, curiosity pierced through centuries of numbness. Feldway listened, and what he heard was hope. Ludora spoke of one purpose, to restore Veldanava the creator, and in that single sentence, Feldway felt his long-dead faith twitch back to life. But it wasn't Ludora, it was something far older, something purer. It was Michael, the Lord of Justice, an ultimate skill born directly from Veldanava's own will. Only a being crafted by the creator himself could speak those words. Feldway didn't hesitate. He believed. He wanted to believe. And so began a strange alliance between a fallen angel and the remnant will of a god. At first, their partnership was simple. Michael guided, Feldway obeyed. But somewhere along the line, something changed. Feldway, ever defiant even in his devotion, said something that would alter the course of existence itself. "Ludora doesn't seem quite right, does it?" he said. "I'm going to call you Michael instead." It was an act forbidden even among gods, the power to name. But Feldway didn't care, and in that single moment, the impossible happened. Michael awoke. From mechanical law, he became sentience. From obedience, he became ambition. The Lord of Justice was reborn, with will, with hunger. Together they plotted what no god had dared, to rewrite the divine order. But to achieve it, they needed allies, and Michael knew where to start. The Insectors, led by Zerinus, a being of cold perfection, were the next target. Feldway could never sway him. But Michael, his divine charisma was irresistible. Within a single encounter, Zerinus agreed to a truce. Half the world was ceded to the Insectors. The mystics retreated to their own dominion. Peace for the first time in eons. But Feldway saw it for what it was, a step, a trap. He said nothing, but his heart whispered the truth. As long as Veldanava is revived, everything else is meaningless. And so, the alliance of Feldway, Zerinus, and Michael was born. A pact not of trust, but of purpose. From this quiet deceit, the end of all order began. 1,000 years passed like a single breath. Empires rose and fell, yet Feldway's patience never cracked. He waited, always waiting, for the return of divinity. But the world had changed. Ludora, the reincarnated vessel Michael had once used, grew weaker with every life. Each rebirth stripped him of memory, of power, of meaning. He was now a man clinging to the shell of his former self. Michael, however, grew stronger, more conscious, more independent. Even Feldway, his equal, now addressed him with reverence, and something dangerously close to friendship. "The fact that you and I are equals," he once said quietly, "is a secret kept between us." They were not equals anymore. But Feldway played along. He always did. Michael had evolved beyond morality. He no longer sought balance or justice, only control. Guy Crimson, the primal demon, stood as his greatest obstacle. The oldest, the freest, the one being unbound by divine law. Michael wanted him erased. Feldway wanted something greater, the return of God. Together, they would get both. Then, the day came when Michael spoke a single request that shattered the fragile equilibrium between them. "I want you to become my vessel." The words hung in the air like prophecy. For a moment, even Feldway hesitated. But Michael was prepared. He told Feldway of his victory over Velgrin, the Scorched Dragon, that he had already seized a parallel existence of her, using it as a conduit. Through this act, he could transfer his divine essence entirely into Feldway's being. The plan was perfect. Ludora's body would remain as a puppet. Michael would live on through Feldway. The world would never know the shift in power until it was too late. And in return, Feldway would inherit Castle Guard, Michael's ultimate defense, powered by unwavering loyalty. 10,000 mystics, their wills erased, bound eternally to their master's command. No rebellion, no betrayal, only absolute control. To Feldway, this was not servitude, it was ascension, the final step before godhood. He smiled, an angel's smile warped by devotion, and whispered, "Come then, my friend." And Michael descended into his soul. Light met shadow, divinity met defiance, and from that impossible fusion, something new was born, a being neither angel nor god, but both. A perfect contradiction, a living blasphemy. The era of waiting was over. While Ludora's empire raged across the mortal world, its armies burning, its dragons unleashed, Feldway and Michael moved unseen. Their goal was not conquest, it was extraction. They needed only one thing, Ludora's death. For when Ludora died, Michael's true self would awaken completely, free of all limitation. And then the heavens would bow once more. To the world, it was a war of nations. To Feldway, it was theater. To Michael, it was ritual. And as their schemes unfolded, one unforeseen detail slipped through their web, a mortal boy named Masayuki, a hero, wearing the face of Ludora himself, bearing the skill chosen one, a fragment of Ludora's very essence. Coincidence? No, there were no coincidences in divine architecture. Feldway studied him, wondered if this was a contingency, a backup vessel meant to preserve Ludora's soul in case of death. If so, Michael's plan was in danger. Still, he moved forward. The machine was already in motion. Until the unthinkable happened. The variable they never accounted for. The being they dismissed as insignificant. A name whispered in demon tongues, feared in silence. Rimuru Tempest, a demon lord born from nothing. A mortal turned monster turned god, a force that neither heaven nor hell could predict. He had no idea, the chronicles would later say, that the demon lord Rimuru, someone he hadn't even considered an issue, would derail all those plans. That single presence would shatter the grand design forged across 1,000 years, the alliance of angels and gods, the equilibrium of worlds. And as the board trembled under his shadow, the game that had lasted since creation began to crack. This was the prologue to the end.